That's fine. Release me from this prison. Go right ahead.
Thing. That's what I'll end.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
Hello, everybody. So we're gonna get this thing started in 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, and we are live. Password Cognito Ebontis. Very Thursday evening campfire, unique situation. It's family, y'all. We in the realm, but man, the cheetah. Finally, it's been only what?
Yeah, it's been a long time since you've been through here. So, yeah, got Cognito in my house. He's got some stuff going on in the Dallas area this weekend, so he's hanging out.
Your arms are touching.
Yeah,
he's mine now. I'm sorry.
You can keep them.
Oh, there you go. That is the only thing you guys are you are allowed to say is the fact that Sony leaked the last word early too. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's the only thing. Crazy. You're good. Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah, very stormy weather he came into. Been a busy couple of days. Got a busy few more days before all of this craziness gets going. Picked this guy up at the airport through a bit of a flight and some storms, but he made it, so he is here. Travis, how you doing? Are you lonely over there?
Lonely?
Yeah.
I don't know the meaning of the word.
Oh, okay.
To be alone is... Look, I'm not alone, okay? I'm alone. It's different. Lone. Like lone wolf. You know, very... Yeah. I'm doing good, man.
How are voices comparison by? Just let us know, because I got to be farther away from this mic, so I can turn it up if needed.
You guys sound fine.
Yeah, how we say it? The bros together at...
What have you been up to, Travis?
To be adjusted?
I've been reviewing games. I've got 2 reviews that are going live pretty soon. Well, Killer Clowns, you guys have seen. I did a review in progress for that and slapping a final score on it pretty soon here. And then yeah, Disney Dreamlight Valley, and then I've got some other stuff. I played a VR game this week. Have you guys played Population 1 at all?
Mm-mm.
It's like a battle royale in VR. It's really cool. You know,
interesting.
It's like a
Pop 1, the old school, yeah.
Pop 1, yeah. Well, they're deploying a really big update to their battle royale mode, and they brought me in to show me what they're working on, and it was really cool. So shout out to that team doing some awesome stuff. The Phoenix update looks pretty darn cool. So if you haven't played that game, you definitely should, because it's like one of those battle royales that's like so unique just because it's a VR game and things, you know, like how you it's got all the same mechanics, like you drop in, right? Except for in this game, you can extend your arms to fly, like glide where you need to go. So you got like a wingsuit on in game, and it's pretty cool, man. It's just it hits different when you're in VR. So it's cool. How about you guys? What have you been up to? Cog, why are you in Dallas?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm here for sports and indie scene.
You gotta get up here a little bit.
Yeah, getting a chance to rock out with content creators, as well as just the competitive gaming. But while I flew in, what I played, I had played some Tekken 8 on the ROG Ally. Ghost of Tsushima, oh my god. On the ROG Ally is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I did my PlayStation sign-in so I could do the have my trophies, my friends list, all that stuff. And then what else? Zao, Tales of Cancera, tried that on the Ally. And my boys let them cook the roguelike. Yeah, kind of joints. Those are the 4 games I played. Way too much time because my flight was let's say delayed. It was an understatement. I had a lot of gaming time on this flight, but that's why I'm in.
Sorry everybody about the audio balancing. If you're live, I will try and balance some of that stuff later on. Biggest thing is we probably just have to lean a little closer to the mic, but we will do our best. So if it is weird live in chat, I'll do my best to balance it post-show. So if you hear this later, hopefully this is all for naught. But yeah, we do have a limited amount of time today, just with schedules and things like that. So I think the biggest thing to talk about is the elephant in the room that happened this morning. Heads up, if you are in the comments, if you're doing anything, do not spoil anything in this channel. If you do, I will delete the comment if I see it. But also the biggest thing is just be nice to the other gamers out there. Don't spoil it for somebody else. So we're not going to talk about what was in the leaks this morning and stuff that happened, more just the fact that how it happened and the fact that it was, 2 o'clock in the morning, and out of sheer accident, Sony turned on the final shape, including some raid stuff for the PlayStation 5 streaming service, but that was it. Nobody else got to play it. Some people were like, I think you had to make a new character to see some of the stuff because it was on the streaming service, because a lot of people probably don't play on there. And then some people had eventually got to the point where they dove into collections and other things. So like, it's not campaign story spoilers that are out there, but there's a fair amount of weapons and perks and other stuff like that that has seemed to have leaked. So that's the stuff that you're probably going to want to avoid. But yeah, just your guys' thoughts on the fact that this happened. Whoever wants to.
Yeah. Well, I guess you guys were asleep during it.
Do we know how long?
I don't know.
5 hours.
5 hours. Okay.
Wow.
It was 5 hours. Yeah, and
5
I know that
hours.
because I found out about it like 3 hours in. So unlike you guys, I was still awake when this happened because I just happened to be having a late night, and like we found out about it like 3 hours in, and then Teddy and Destin and I were in the Destiny leak server watching people stream it, and we were just going like,
Hey, yo.
like yo, like how is this happening? Obviously I won't go into the what I actually saw, but yeah, dude, there were a ton of spoilers on a whole bunch of topics in that game, including the raid, which was probably the craziest part because that's not even supposed to be live at the time that the final shape
The raid
is, right?
was live?
Nobody played the raid, but I think like people saw stuff about it. So
Yeah, let's just say that some of the I'm not going to go into exactly what was included in some of these streams, but they saw a lot is what I'll say. They
fair
saw
enough.
a whole lot of the
Travis
game.
seems to know more than I do. I was just trying to see what the hell happened, avoid some of it.
Yeah. I highly recommend that you avoid it. I was mostly watching it because I was stunned that it was happening. I was just like confused, but I was also trying not to pay attention to the content because I do want to be surprised by it. But yeah, dude, it was nuts.
Crazy.
I immediately tried to warn people about it. So
Yeah.
hopefully people didn't get spoiled. But yeah, pretty crazy that they did that. Sony kind of screwed that one up. Yeah, I feel bad for Bungie right now.
Do you feel, I was going to say, do either of you feel like when Sony had that, like, you know, we're going to take over the board threat and stuff like this and be like, hey, this is like a little feather in our cap to pull out later on, be like, you know, sales didn't go that well, but you guys did that, so, you know, we got some time to work with. I know it's financials and it
the most important expansion that you got leaked. That's so unfortunate. Yo, that's
I think it is at very least, yeah, to your point, E, like obviously that's not a reason to combat Sony having a bigger role in Bungie's org because that's not what their agreement was. But I think it does speak to the fact that, you know, Sony doesn't really do multiplayer games. They don't have a whole lot of online games. They don't have any live service games. And I don't know that they know the particulars of running one. I think this is like a example that kind of proves that. And so Sony just has a lot of growing to do, and I hope Bungie will help them do that growing when it comes to these types of games. But yeah, man, it's a pretty big disaster. I mean, I can't imagine a worse way for the last word to make its debut, or sorry, the final shape, because it kind of takes a lot of the wind out of the sails. And they have it's not like they can blame like an external leaker that like hacked into them. It's like, no, they just played the game. You made it available.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I've never heard of anything like this, to be honest. Like, and the fact that it was isolated to streaming services was pretty interesting, right? As opposed to, you know, yeah, that's wild. Like,
that's probably how it happened, right? They probably were just like, oh, I bet you they've never launched Destiny onto that streaming platform before, and so they just didn't. Somebody checked the wrong box or made it available on a server and didn't think about the embargo date. Like, you know, I can understand this. Like, I've made mistakes in embargoes before, where you know you upload something to the CMS and you put 8 a.m. instead of 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. instead of 8 a.m. and it screws something up. Everybody's done that, and that seems like probably what happened. They just forgot to put like a date filter on it, but it's also a pretty big fumble for the final DLC of the 10-year game that they just bought and as their flagship live service game on their platform. So brutal.
Pretty brutal.
Brutal.
I also wonder from the technical aspect, like, how do you roll that back with I guess you just cut the faucet off.
Well, you just turn it off at that point. I think that's what you have to
do. But then
Yeah.
they're like 4 or 5 hours in, right? At one point. Jeez.
Yeah. They're 5 hours in, but I mean, that's easy enough to reset. And I assume that it was also easy to just like make it unavailable by changing the go live date or just deleting it from the server, doing a re-upload and then, I've played on internal builds at Bungie HQ where like they took my character and then let me play on an internal server. And then when I was done with the review, they just deleted all the progress I made. So I'm sure none of that progress is going to be included if they made any. So yeah, I don't think it'll affect that, but it is, I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. Some of the stuff I saw, I was like flabbergasted, like, because I found out 3 hours in, so they had already gone like deep into some of the stuff, and I was just like, dude, like, how long has this been going on? Like, crazy. It's crazy.
I don't know if anyone you said no one beat the campaign.
No, I don't think so.
I've been crazy. But if someone like beat it,
I think it's too long that like 5 hours that wouldn't happen. And I heard they had to do some like prep to get into it a little bit, so it probably took a little while, and they were first probably trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then it was probably a combination of things. But I mean, 5 hours, as you said, that's a chunk of time to see a lot of stuff. So yeah, if you want to avoid stuff, just don't go look. Don't look at articles, because articles are terrible about, oh, stuff leaked, and they'll have half of it in the article that's there, like depending on what source you go to or what outlet. So be very careful where you go if you care about spoilers. If you want to go dig, that is fully up to you.
Yeah, there's a lot you can dig if you want to.
Stuff that was not spoiled, but I will say we got a lot of information. Some content creators got a chance to go out to Bungie, as Travis said. I know IGN got to, I think, Datto, Fallout, Astacross, a couple others at least. I've seen some articles from a couple different outlets who got some interviews. We got a lot of information in past like few days, basically. It's been a lot to digest. And we don't have to go through all the nuance and stuff. We can talk about like prismatic things. I just wanted to go more of a high level with as much information between prismatic, the fact that they didn't really do much on the campaign, but you've got prismatic, you've got different abilities, weapons, perks, exotics. Pretty much the main thing we don't know about is the campaign, but I would say a lot of the loot and things that you're going to be interacting with, a lot of that is already out there before launch. I was curious if you guys
they also played a lot of the campaign.
Yeah, they haven't talked about it as all.
I believe Fallout did say he played like the 1st and 5th level. I think
that's what he said. Yeah,
they gave you like a.
I can tell you which.
Okay,
I can tell you which levels they played.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the vast majority of them. They played the 1st level, and then they played the 3rd level and 4th level, and then I think they skipped 5 and then played 6 and 7, and then they didn't play the last mission. Which, by the way, that's weird. Like most of the times I've been to Bungie to play it, they just like let us play everything except for the raid, and we just weren't able to talk about it until after the game was out, right? And so you would have to replay the raid or replay all the content when the game actually came out, but it was a way for you to write like your review in progress before you had done the raid and all that stuff. So I typically in the past had like the vast majority of my review written before the game came out. But yeah, this one I've got some footage on or some intel on what they actually played.
But I was listening to Astacross. I think it was Cross, maybe, and he mentioned he like played the strike up until like the final third of the boss, and then they cut the strike off. So it sounds like they were doing some weird things that they wanted to hide, whether it was for cinematic purposes or other things. They just didn't want certain moments to be seen by anybody yet, which I guess those moments are waiting to be seen. But it is kind of interesting, as you said. It's not just like experience it all. It's like experience some of it. A lot of it, but not all of it.
Yeah. So they played mission 1, 3, 5, and 6. And then the strike. Yeah, so they played a lot of it. And I don't think Destin was there for the entire event either. So there might have been other stuff he missed. But Yeah, needless to say, I think they've seen a lot of it. Um, I don't know how other outlets have covered it, or I don't even know if there are other outlets covering it. I think it's mostly just content creators and then IGN because there's a lot of people at IGN who like Destiny. Because I know Forbes didn't go, right, because Paul couldn't make
I
it.
see, 'cause I
So
think
Yeah,
yeah.
he got some embargo
yeah,
information because he had a point where he's like, I forgot the embargo was this morning, so I did get to see some stuff. So he might have done like a remote thing, maybe, because he had
yeah, they
something
might
to
have just
talk
shown him
about.
some
So I'm
stuff.
like, it's been all over the place. It seems like a couple interviews at different outlets I have seen as well. So it's kind of all over the
Yeah,
place a little bit, but quite a few places have seen a decent amount of it. It seems like.
and I don't know if the footage has been or the reception has been positive, but I would say Destin's was a little like middle of the road. Like I kind of got like a good, not great, 7 out of 10 kind of vibes from it. That's just what he kind of. That's kind of what his preview made me think of, and I've also talked to him about it separately. Funny enough, a lot of people commented on it like you should have sent Travis, which is very funny to see because every time I write about
Absolutely should
Destiny,
have, yes.
Yes. We agree.
every time I write about Destiny, the top comments are, "Why are they letting Travis do these things? Destin should be writing the reviews and
Oh.
previews." So it's very funny to see the opposite happen to him. Yeah, but at least you're honest, Trav. I think Destin's pretty honest too. I mean,
Yeah.
Destin is a lot of things, but a guy who doesn't express his opinions is not
No,
one of
he's
them. I
generally,
mean,
yeah, he's
he goes
outspoken.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
He goes
Yes.
pretty hard on how he feels about things.
So like
So
campaign, I didn't get a ton of vibes. I got some where they're like, we were kind of all over the place, playing some mission, didn't see all the story beats, so maybe things come together. So kind of like cautious about the campaign. The one thing outside of I think Destin, a lot of the content creators, I think Cross was like a little slow on Prismatic at first, but then when they got to use the exotic class item and mess with a couple of loadouts, they're seeing that Prismatic is kind of stupidly powerful
Yeah.
when things really start rolling. When you get Transcendence rolling, then it's like grenade, melee, grenade, melee, grenade, like, and then all of that stuff starts flowing. And then it's the idea to have knockout and volt shot, and then obviously you have somebody suspended up, and just the combination of abilities. I think the build crafting a lot of people are saying is going to be pretty fun. Um, but quite a few, once they really started to experiment with the exotic class items and then just mess with the subclass more, depending on what subclass they were on, I think they really started to have quite a bit of fun with the subclass. So Prismatic sounds popular in a good way. I think it's still, you're going to have your reasons to play other classes,
Right.
but it does seem like it's going to be able to hold its own, maybe a little broken once you get those exotic class items. Probably why they're coming after the raid,
Yeah.
so we don't
I
go
called it.
breaking the raid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the vibe I'm getting from most of the content creators is that you have to kind of wrap your head around Transcendence, and like it's just sheer overload as far as all the things you can do. It's going to take an adjustment period. Obviously the light and dark classes. The other thing I'm noticing is that the importance of the kinetic weapons, right? Kinetic to really build that meter, because if you just skew one way, it's not going to fill. So I think Frost and a couple of content creators are calling it like super light. Like you have it like your super, and then Transcend is like
Yeah, light super.
like
Somebody mentioned that. Yeah.
like your diet super or something. But when you get it, you get like these overcharged abilities, these things very unique to the class, which sounds pretty cool. Campaign, really, nobody's really talking in depth about right now. But I got from Cross the vibe kind of like there's some surprises that he thinks that it's gonna, they really holding on to, that there's gonna wow people, but it remains to be seen. We got to see how that is. But right now, I like the build crafting. I like what I'm seeing from enemy patterns, enemy AI, that kind of stuff. And we just got to see how it comes together. That's just what it is right now. But from a gameplay standpoint, it seems like there's going to be a ton to do. Information overload. We're going to be build crafting like crazy. So I'm excited for that part.
Yeah, the one when you mentioned kind of the dread that you're fighting, the subjugators, the big strand and stasis tormentor type enemies, they said they were legit threats. Like if they were on the table, sometimes they just kind of one-shotted them or took them out really quickly, depending on what you're fighting. I'm sure the Grim are going to be annoying because they fly and fidget everywhere, so that's going to be fun. The Husks, I'll be kind of curious how they play, especially as if you kill them and they have that thing that comes out of their chest, so they're going to be cool. But it did seem like the Dread is legit.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that it wasn't just kind of a pushover class that especially when you get into that new strike that we got from the launch trailer. That's supposed to be the hardest strike that they've made.
Strike ever they talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lava room, like
pretty low
run and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the strikes aren't overly difficult, but if you have a grandmaster that's making people pull their hair out, some people will be excited about that. Some people will be less excited, but they have a lot of lower level. Like, you can still do Devil's Ruin solo by myself, and it's like an old style strike, and then the new one's going to be like, and I'm sure Esoteric will do it, but it's just one of those that it's probably going to take him a little longer than normal.
Yes,
and that's their goal. So it does seem kind of cool with the architecture and everything. For the destination, it does seem like there's this...
The Pale Heart?
Yeah, the Pale Heart. It seems like the opening is landing, the greenery, and then it just slowly turns into kind of a horror movie with all the hands and everything going on. It's going to be an interesting destination.
Did you also see that it's a solo destination?
Yes, that was interesting.
Encounter randoms in it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you can queue in with people. There's a certain activity, kind of like going straight into the blind well.
Yeah.
You can do like whatever the new public event kind of thing is, which may be where you farm the class item. But yeah, the fact that if you just go to the destination and land and you're by yourself, you will be by yourself the entire time. It was interesting. I mean, what do you guys think of that? Do you like the idea of that, or do you feel like it's missing something?
It's an interesting design choice. What you gonna say, Traffic?
No, I was just gonna say I've never really derived a whole lot from like encountering random people emoting out in the wild of a patrol center. So I really doubt I'm gonna like even notice it or miss it.
Dabbing and doing all that foolishness while you try.
Dude, it's so immersion breaking when somebody like flies in on a sparrow and then they go through one of those hallways that loads them in 2 different instances, and so then they disappear or they get stuck in the hallway loading, and it's just like, dude, this is the least like it. Yeah, it's cool that they can help you with like public events and stuff. That's like the only time it's really useful. But any other time, they're just getting in their way. They're killing things that you need to kill for a bounty. They're
that's the facts.
They're doing random stuff. They're AFK in a pile right where they spawn. So there's like 8 of them occupying the same space.
When you get somewhere and there's a pile of sparrows just where everybody went to the same pace and bailed on their sparrow, like right in front of a lost sector or something.
Yeah, and they're all wearing crossover armor that makes them look like Superman and the Witcher.
What, you don't want your Dungeons and Dragons armor? Come on,
I do not. I do not. Yeah. So
okay, question for the Dungeons and Dragons guy though.
Is very immersion breaking.
Can you explain the Dungeons and Dragons characters that are shown on the armor? Can you explain what those are? Because I do need a little help there.
Yes.
Yeah, one of them's a Mind Flayer. I don't remember what the other ones are.
I think Warlock?
One is the I think
face.
so. I think one of them was a dragon, one of the golden dragons.
Oh, that's the Titan
from like the cover art, Titan. I don't really remember all of them, but the ghost is very funny. It's a beholder, which is the eyeball creature you probably see on like the cover of D&D. I don't know if you guys have even ever seen a D&D cover, but the beholder is like a very famous monster from the Monster Manual, like well-known creature. I can't remember the ship and the sparrow were also D&D references.
The ship kind of looks like a dragon. The sparrow looks like kind of an eagle. I'm just looking at the video paused it frame, but yeah.
But yeah, those are all great D&D references. I'm sure that people will buy them and then buy them and then annoy me with them. I will say the dice emote is actually kind of cool because you can roll a d20 but that's like the emotes have always been stupid, right? In immersion breaking, but yeah. Whoever said D&D vomit, it's a little harsh. Look, D&D is not cool at all, but it is I respect it because it's a great starting point for tabletop RPGs, and tabletop RPGs are cool. D&D is the least cool tabletop RPG, but it's a nice place to start, and it's a gateway, right, for people to get into actually good tabletop RPGs. So I will support my D&D brethren.
Salute.
Apparently the sparrow is an owlbear.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. The sparrow is an owlbear, yeah, which is another monster from the Monster Manual that's like very recognizable and iconic in the D&D world.
Well, let me get some salute. Shout out to OG TK Cole. Shout out to Aries. Salute. He says tabletops are amazing.
He's correct. Tabletop RPGs are awesome. I knew I liked you, TK.
Yeah, TK the man. That's the man right there. Salute. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Are we talking about the weapons that have shown their faces?
We can talk about what has been officially announced. We're not talking
Mhm.
about anything that got
Yeah,
leaked.
not anything that a content creator has been under
Yeah,
that
we can talk
umbrella.
about all of
Bro,
those.
I was surprised to see the Red Death come back. I'll be honest. I was surprised to see Red Death, which I thought was interesting. Also, what I'm noticing, like I said, the theme is kinetic weapons are really going to be valuable with this expansion to get that transcendence bar. Kvastov surprised me because I'll be honest, the trailers for a lot of these weapons I felt were misleading. Like I felt like they only give you like one flavor text, and then when you're getting these weapons, you're getting these armors, you're noticing multiple functionality. But Kvastov really impressed me with the power of the ricochets, and then obviously Red Death also have some healing ability going on with it. Um, the only one I would say, I'm on board now with the Warlock strand being 3 individual strands suspend kind of effects, as opposed to having to use all 3 to get one effect.
I got you.
So I love that. Titans are eating, bro. Did you see that? The strand, the arms, bro, they're thick. It's like
the additional frenzied blade.
Yeah. So that's why they nerfed Banner War, so that you could get this effect going on.
I was like, yeah, by the way, when Cog is over here talking, he does this
Sorry.
a lot. So his
Very
animated, yes. You hear any thumps on the microphone or anything? That's because he's over here just smashing my desk,
bad,
you
my
know,
bad.
Hulk smashing. Yeah, so I mean, the Titan we got, what is it? Hazardous propulsion, weapon precision hits or final blows have a chance to load. Kinetic Exodus rocket activates your class abilities. So that's the one that fires out. And it seems like that's when you can kind of like charge up and get more of them. Also applies to like rocket sidearms because it gives a 35% damage bonus to rockets for 10 seconds.
Titans eating.
So if you can get your rocket barricade and then shoot your rockets out afterwards, that's bait and switch level of DPS
And
boost.
Fallout did the testing. The DPS on this thing is sick.
Yeah.
It is this is very effective, including I know we're gonna get to the Hunter golden gun thing, but
the golden sniper gun. Yeah.
Some of the DPS on these things are way more impressive than Bungie they were very humble with the way they just showed them in the trailers.
Yeah, it's like I haven't looked too much on the Hunter yet. I probably should, of course.
You're a hunter now.
I gotta do my Hunter thing.
Hunter main.
Microcosm seems like it's gonna be interesting. It's a kinetic trace. I'm sorry. Final blows with this weapon grant super energy. The weapon gains bonus damage once your super expires. So 20% bonus damage lasts 20 seconds after the super, and that's a long time. And if it's a heavy, potentially putting out pretty good amount of damage. The whole dealing massive bonus to shields, like after match game left, there's even stuff in the artifact they mention, oh, you can do more to shields. I'm like, never picking that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of annoying in a few points where if there's a lot of shields of like the wrong type that you're on, they're like, after doing 0 hour recently, I feel that a little bit, but overall shields are not what they used to be. So having an exotic do massive bonus damage to shields, I guess because it's kinetic though, and your heavy slot, you kind of have to be good at everything. So I guess that makes a little sense, but it's weird to be like highlight and it's like damage massive to shields. I'm like, that could have been like a bullet point.
Oh yeah, that could have
been a bullet point on the email. Yeah.
You know what it is though? They slick trap. They found a way to try to make kinetic interesting, because let's be honest, we're all using energy primaries in the secondary.
Yeah, most of the time.
We're all going away from kinetic, and this is their slick way to put all the cool stuff and connect it to kinetic weapons.
Kinetic boosting up prismatic, so you get your transcendence quicker. It kind of works on both, but a little slower.
Good. That's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, give me a reason to use something besides like a special in the top slot or a fusion rifle with controlled burst up there. That's Strand one. I mean, that just lives in there depending on what I'm doing. Yeah, the sniper paired with golden gun doing like one big shot. That's gonna be I'm gonna have to try and see if I can get that for at least, because for DPS moments, that's gonna be very interesting.
And it works with Celestial.
That's what, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hunter's gonna be eating. That work with Celestial Nighthawk. That's crazy.
Yeah, hunters will have a lot of fun with that sniper rifle, I think. Kvastov is sounding better than expected, though. I mean, the bouncing bullet, bouncing 7 times. doing a decent amount of damage to groups of ads. I mean, just for a little kinetic workhorse, seems like it's actually going to be pretty good. Also has shoot to loot, so if you're bouncing around, might actually be picking stuff up as you go.
And shoot orbs to loot. Orbs, yeah. I think that's new, right?
They not in final shape. I feel like it's in almost like this season, but yeah, they're shooting orbs because you can have kinetic trimmers pick up orbs. I think right now.
Right.
Any of the stuff you've seen, Travis, that you're kind of excited for? It seems like, 4 exotic weapons, 6 exotic armor. Anything that you want to test out first?
I haven't looked at it. I'm going in blind.
That's fair.
That's right, because you got to do the review. I feel that.
Got to do a review. Yeah,
you're
so
right. You're right.
Even while I was watching leaks last night, I was trying not to pay attention to what they were actually showing. I was more just there because I was shocked that it was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Watching a slow train wreck. Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, how did they do this? How did this happen? But yeah, I'm kind of going in blind on this. I did all my prep work though. I have
Nice.
Shout out to Buff and his squad for
nice
getting me through all the 0 hour and whisper content. I got all of the perks unlocked.
The Rewind
Wounds.
My Rewind Wounds.
Rewind Wounds. No one says that right, including Bungie, so it's fine.
Rewind Rounds. I got that ready. And yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, so I haven't crafted it. I probably won't craft it until somebody tells me that either one is meta. Because now it seems like they're probably not going to be. Rewind?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the one to have
I know.
For PvE.
I know it's good, but is it meta?
Yes, and then pulses
have a
are
primary?
Pulses are going to get the buff.
Well, I don't know if it's meta, but
I mean,
pulses are getting a buff though. Pulses are getting a buff. It could be
Outbreak
pretty.
We were just talking about the lack of enthusiasm around kinetic primaries, so
no, but it was like I think pulses are getting a 20% buff, I think, and then you've got the damage boost because the boss and minor and all that stuff's coming off. But the buff to pulses is actually hitting the exotics as well. The exotics are gonna do a little less to the red borders, but that's kind of made up for with the bonus damage to everything. But some of it just the archetypes are getting a boost, and I think pulses is getting the biggest one. So that one, what's the void one that explodes?
Graviton
Lance. Yeah, that one could be interesting.
Oh yeah, Graviton Lance always comes back, doesn't it?
So, and
especially
again,
since that one's not kinetic, right? Isn't that one void?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's gonna be good because SP says kinetics are getting a nerf. That's true, right?
What is
the
kinetics?
They're not getting well, I guess they're getting that little bit because they're not getting that damage bonus anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it's like if you had strain and kinetic in the same slot, kinetic was a smidge better.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll craft it. By the way, after turning all of my legendary shards into enhancement cores, I just looked because I forgot to check how many enhancement cores I have, and I have 3 stacks of enhancement cores.
Damn,
which is like 3,000.
You passed me, so yeah, I was like 2,500. He's at 3,000.
So what's the stack max?
It's 999.
So it's 999.
Yeah, I have 2 and like 8 tenths that are full stacks of enhancement.
You didn't get your raid banners?
I mean, I have 200 of those, so those are stacked, but I wish that we didn't even need those because they have them in the missions now. They should just use those. I don't need to go buy an inventory thing.
Can I mention how stupid it is that there's a mechanic to fix the bad ammo economy? Is it any better than a legendary ammo? What were those things called?
Synth. Yo, Papa Synth, bro. We gotta.
Is this any better than the synth thing? Like, because it's like, why don't you just make it so that at the beginning of the encounter, you give me the ammo you clearly want me to have, and then we start the encounter, and then that way I don't have to wipe whenever my buddy says, oh, I forgot to grab the flag, or he loads in late, or whatever. Yep. Why don't you just when I get to the encounter, why don't you just give me the ammo you want me to have for that encounter?
I cannot tell you.
Why do we have to do this game? Why do we have to play back and forth?
Why is half of your armor covered in scavenger and reserves and ammo finder? Why, before I hit the rally flag, let me switch to our chest armor that has triple reserves, and then before the encounter starts, let me switch back. But occasionally I'll forget about that, so I'm going to have less damage. Yes, give us the ammo you want and leave me alone.
Yeah, it's been
what's
bad.
funny
it's been
is
bad for the longest.
Destiny's ammo economy has always been bad, and they've always, rather than addressing the ammo economy situation, they've always just tweaked the options available to the player to fix it, which
Or
is weird.
or lead into exotics, weapons
Yeah,
that boost
Cenotaph
your
or
Yep.
Aeons. Well, I mean, do you remember how reliable it was in the beginning of Destiny 2? Kill an orange bar, get a heavy break.
Yes.
What is so hard? Why was that so terrible?
Because then everybody just used only heavies. I actually think that system had problems.
I mean, that's
but
fair, but like, I just get tired of the fact that, as you said, it's all on the player to build around ammo. It's like, I get it's a gun shooter, but I'm like, this is not build crafting. This is ammo management.
Yeah, pretty much.
Less fun.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Tell me the amount of ammo you want to give me that would make it so that the game is fun to play and doesn't make it so that I'm relying on just one type of weapon. You tell me what that looks like, Bungie. That's your job. And then put that in the game and let me just play it. That's what I say. I don't want to just stop to put a flag down. You know how many wipes I could avoid if you would get rid of...
bro.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you know how many
Started it.
wipes
Why did you
I
start
could
it, bro?
spare myself?
I was like, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't rally.
Oh,
up.
I gotta change characters. Yeah, I gotta change characters. I already rallied the flag. Can we wipe and put another flag in?
It's like,
Dude, please fix it.
yeah,
Fix it.
yeah. Ammo's fun. Exotics look interesting. I'll be curious how they are. Do you got? I don't know if I asked you guys this before or on here. And chat, you guys can answer as well. Outside of the campaign, do you feel like we have received too much information about the final shape at this point before we actually jump in, or do you feel like they are just doing their marketing thing? Where do you guys feel like we are in information before it launches?
It depends how much is in the game. I'm a little worried
Like
based on what.
Hey.
Right.
No, I'm just saying
Yeah,
they couldn't show that much if it's 5.5 hours long. Like,
exactly. They showed like in
slanderous,
2021. They showed.
I haven't actually played it yet. I do want to play it.
I played it. I can now have an opinion on that game.
We'll talk
But yeah,
later.
I'm a little worried about how much is actually in the game based on how much they let them play. Because like, you know, when I went down there to play Forsaken, I played the entire campaign. I played all the strikes. I played most of the content, and I even went to the Dreaming City and did all that stuff. And really, the only thing I didn't play was like the weekly rotations and the challenges where you go into the throne world, and all that fun stuff that we get to discover was in the game after it came out. But the fact that they're keeping some of the story to themselves, I mean, they could be doing it just to like surprise and delight. And I don't think this was positioned as an on-site review, even though it kind of was. But yeah, I if there's not that much to the game, then I feel like maybe we do know too much. But if there's a lot that they're hiding, then yeah, I could be convinced that we don't know. We just don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
It's very clear they're keeping some of the story beats locked
Yes.
out, which I think is an interesting decision. And hopefully it means because there are story beats and not because there aren't any.
No, I agree. I think it's a measured approach, but they are showing a lot in a sense of, you know, giving campaign the public space, you know, letting people jump around for specific levels. There's key things that they definitely don't want the content creators to know just yet. I will say it's more than what I expected. So I'm gonna guess that based on length, that it's gonna be, you know, equal to or more than Lightfall at minimum. You know what I'm saying? So that's about my low end bet right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I know we haven't seen the campaign, that's the big stuff, but I've heard some of the creators talk about I think that was actually Destin talking about the public event, and that might be where you do some of the farming for the class item. I'm like, okay. The instance of being by yourself is going to be, as you guys said, good for bounties and stuff, but also Lightfall didn't have much going on because we just had Nimbus and everybody else was this little digital avatar thing. In here, there truly is nothing. You're going to have whatever your NPCs are and enemies, and that's basically it. So I know this destination has a very specific purpose with the Witness, but I'm very curious how the vibe of it feels if that's really all. The other thing, though, I wonder, and this is kind of wonder, Travis, I know you're going to do your review of Final Shape. I'm very curious how much, because this is their first episode, and I feel like for them to maintain the player base, the episode also has to do a decent amount of lifting. And typically the seasons that we get with expansions are weak. More often than not, Defiance, Hunt, I'm probably missing one in there, and I know I am, but the seasons with expansions have been very light because the expansion content. The episode, I feel like it has to be more. So I do kind of wonder how that's going to land for, Final Shape feels a little bit light, but then a week and a half later, the season comes in and really feels things out with like a couple more activities and another bit of story. I'm just kind of curious where those two are going to balance out. If Final Shape comes off light to some people, but then the episode fills it out, I'm just kind of curious how that lands.
Yeah, well, my policy on reviewing live service games has evolved over time. It used to be where I'd try to separate the content that I was reviewing from the content I'm not reviewing, right? You go like, oh, well, I'm only reviewing the Final Shape, so I'm going to put aside all the stuff that's in the season pass or whatever. I have discovered over the years of doing this that is not particularly useful to players, right? Separating the content, because most players are just going to play the game and experience what we all experience, which is a mix of like seasonal and temporary content, and then also the campaign and all that stuff. And so my current philosophy is I will review what the game is on the days and weeks that I'm reviewing it, right? And whatever it includes, I'm just going to review it, and I'm going to tell you what I think of all that stuff. And if you decide to not buy the season, but you do want to buy the campaign, you can read my review and take that into account when you make the decision. If you decide to just buy the season pass or to buy both, you can also take that into account. But I'm going to be talking about everything that I can play in the game at the time that I do the review, which is around launch and immediately after launch. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff, and then I'll slap a score on it and tell you what I think, and then you can parse through and determine, if that which parts of it interest you or don't interest you, or maybe all of it doesn't. So
I think for me it's just a culmination of we need clarity. It's a culmination of a 10-year journey. We need to get proper answers, not additional questions, which is my only concern.
We're going to be getting both.
Right.
That was Destin's big complaint about the story, by the way, was that he wasn't getting answers. Yeah.
That's the key, and we've been with these characters for a long time. I will say this: I like the tone of the initial trailer, because I do also want some loss or some serious threat. But the ultimate thing for me, which will really put the cherry on the sundae, is I need to have that raid seamlessly and cohesively go from the story, beat the witness, and then have a satisfying conclusion. Now, the key is what you said, E. How do they now transition past post raid in an episode world to still maintain interest after this quote unquote cataclysmic event?
It's a tough transition, especially if you're ending the story solidly.
Landing one story's ending. It's like, oh, you're done with the end game, and now we're going to the next thing, like in the other half of the movie. That would be just bizarre if you were going to start the next saga right after that. So this is going to be weird.
We've seen property struggle with this, right? Like the transition from Halo 3 to Halo 4, ending one trilogy and beginning another. The transition from Infinity War to whatever the heck Marvel's doing now, stuff like that. So we've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, they've implied the whiteboards in the Vidoc. I mean, you had the missions, you had the Lost Sector run through. They had the strike, a couple missions afterwards, the redacted. Whatever happens in the raid, whether we kill the witness, face the witness, we'd do one other. I don't know what we're going to be able to do, but we'll see what the raid race does. If you go through the campaign and you don't face the witness, or you don't fully beat the witness, is it going to be like an Oryx thing where it's regicide and you're like, oh, that was kind of cool, and the raid gets the grandiose ending to the witness? How is that going to land for some people who don't play the raid versus those that do? And then, Sunday, when contest mode turns off and people jump in and just smack it all around, is there going to be one of those? Because the Final Shape and Forsaken have the similarity that something is going to happen afterwards. We know now what the fact that, the Dreaming City and we got the Shattered Throat dungeon and things happened afterwards. In this one, we don't know what that's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be quite as grand as we're not going to get a dungeon out of it or anything like that. So I'm wondering if it's just another mission that everybody gets to do. I'm just kind of curious what level of involvement the full player base gets with regards to kind of the conclusion of this. And then also, is it just going to be a trailer that kicks off the episode? After the witnesses has been killed, this is the Vex feel like this is a great opportunity to, you know, jump through time and mess with all of our stuff or whatever. Like, how are they going to, like, reel us into the next part of it? It's going to be a little weird, so I'm kind of curious, as Travis said, if they can kind of manage to weave that transition to be reasonable at all, because it sounds like it's going to be weird. If they can make it reasonable, I think that's probably the best I can hope for.
Yeah,
they've got to nail this main campaign for
Oh, I
at
know.
all cost. All ooga booga talk, Trav. All veil and containment.
It's looking a little ooga booga to me, Cog, right now. But we'll see.
Yeah. The thing that's saving me is I like the threat that the witness is doing. Now I don't have you stayed away from all trailers, Trav? Like the story one that they did?
I did not watch the launch trailer. I think I saw the story one that was about like where it showed the witness like slicing apples or whatever.
Why gotta be slicing?
I mean, look, it's accurate.
No, I mean,
the witness sliced up an apple.
No, I mean the apple. It's also in the launch trailer. The apple is too.
Those
is it?
That's
Okay.
hilarious. I get you. So
I've not seen the launch trailer. I'm trying to go.
So you stayed away. Okay, so I won't say anything. I won't say anything. But what all else they have inferred nicely threat to me. I felt finally threat. Let's go. So let's see what happens.
Like Dom said it. Then I think it was Destiny the meme on Twitter. The final shape is just the game of Fruit Ninja because it's slicing up the apple. I saw that was actually pretty well done.
Man.
Yeah, I mean the trailers at this point have implied a bit more of a threat to the witness. I don't know if they can build him up enough in 7 missions. It's still not I don't think he ever is it. I don't think it is ever going to be at the level of Savathun, just because we had a full season of discussions and the dialogue between Crow and what Savathun had done to Osiris and all the things we had going on. So we knew that she was just playing so many different games. We know the witness is just evil. Fortress just wants, the final shape. It has a very sole purpose as opposed to all the 20 chess pieces on the board. It just has, one dart that it's trying to throw in a bullseye, and it's just trying to do one thing. So it feels a little more simplistic, but I think, as you said, some of the trailers get to imply a little bit more threat. I think it was either the story trailer or the Vidoc that had a bit more of the actual witness voice, not that tone. Yeah, it had that voice that came out for a second that was a lot more of an angry tone than we've heard the witness ever had, because it's usually pretty level-headed. Mm-hmm. So if they can get to the point to where it feels like the witness can be that, ending threat for civilization, for humanity and all that, and then we have to face it. If they can build that up enough, I will actually be impressed, because it's going to be hard to do in the amount of time that they have. So we'll see what happens there.
And just for clarity, the vibe I'm getting is that even though the missions number may be 7 or 8 or something like that, I'm hearing the vibe I'm hearing that they are very compact. That there's a lot. I think someone did kind of allude that from the playthroughs. I think whether
like full.
Yeah,
I'm going to say compact implies small.
I meant to say not compact is small, but like huge. Yeah. They're going to be very packed full of content. It's the vibe. If I remember, don't quote me. It was either Fallout or Cross, because I've been watching those two specifically in terms of their content, and they're kind of assuring me. They were kind of like, all right, they're liking the vibe. Obviously, they still can't talk about everything, and we haven't seen everything, but the vibe I got was like, okay, these are not, because I'll be honest, when I heard like 6 or 7, I got a little nervous, like,
well, I mean, Nightfall have some lengthy missions where you'd get a middle checkpoint of stuff that happens, so it depends on how many of those pieces we get. I mean, it's still probably going to be an 8-hour campaign.
I think at this point, it's basically completely unrealistic to expect them to tie up all the loose ends. Like, we're way past the point of that being even possible. They've just set themselves up for failure in that regard. But if they can at least give context to the central conflict of the Destiny universe and like explain that to players without them having to go and read lore tabs, I think that will be a huge win if they can accomplish that. Why this matters, why the Traveler matters, and why the witness matters in relation to the Traveler, and what the light is, and there's just a lot of like we're going to explain what the darkness is and what the light is and where the travelers came from and all that. And that you do get those answers if you read the lore tab, but the average player has no idea. And I feel like you have to break through and actually make them care about that crap and then resolve it in some meaningful way. If they can do that, I'll be stoked. And if they don't do that, that plus all the loose threads that are definitely going to be dangling, I'm going to be pretty upset. So yeah, we'll see.
Forcado had a pretty interesting one in chat. He's like, I don't want to hear about Aramis. I want to see the conflict between the Traveler and the Witness. Are there any... I mean,
I agree with that. And
yeah,
and I think that's a reference to Destin complaining about the opposite, which he was saying that he was kind of bummed that they're not tying up all those loose threads that they've had dangling, which I think is a fair thing to criticize them for. Even if they successfully tell the story of the Traveler and the Witness, you can still be mad that they kind of left you hanging on all these other plots. I think that's totally valid. For me, the thing that they have to succeed at is the Traveler and the Witness story. If they can succeed at that, then that goes a long way to me forgiving them for all of the plots that they never finished. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those to where, would it be cool to see Eris involved in this? Absolutely, because I love her as a character, but also it feels like that's episode 3. We just got done with Season of the Witch. Now it's just not her time. And being as Destiny is going to be continuing on, as they've said, in some way, shape, fashion, or form, we will figure out. But now it's just not Eris' time to shine. So you've got Mara, because the connection with Crow, and then you got Zavala, Ikora. In the Helm, Elsie was in there too.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to bring her back as much. It feels like she's not in any of these trailers, though, so I don't know if that Helm video, like the Helm little, like, you know, open and close the door kind of thing for all of Lightfall, the snap of the finger that's done with the campaign, if that's going to be, if she's going to be around much at all, because it feels like she might almost tie more into maybe the Vex and the episode as opposed to the, because everything we're seeing in the trailer is like the Vanguard.
Oh, Vanguard. Well, the good thing that's going for this expansion, to keep the streak going, we're not involving Osiris to mess things up for the quality of the review. Even though I love him, even though he tends to be involved, the quality of the expansion tends to go down.
So this is based on the Lightfall expansion, then also
Curse of Osiris.
Curse of Osiris, yeah. That is the Curse of Osiris, yeah.
As much as I love my man, it's never a go when he's leading, directing.
Is he not involved?
I have not seen him at all.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's sort of become a EU character.
No,
a little bit.
You're right. If you remember how they debuted the trailer that showed Crow and Cade, right? Yeah. Osiris told you to go to the teleprompter to go inspect and find out what happened. There's a post cinema audio log with him and Saint where they talk about their relationship, right? Yeah. But then they kind of allude to, like, we will be the Vanguard, like, in the tower, and we could get to live our lives. Like, they're not going to be out in the field no more kind of energy is what they've kind of alluded to. I don't know if you caught that, Eve.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully maybe this is their retirement, man, so he don't jinx
They're getting benched.
That's it. The big win.
I mean, it's exciting we got an expansion coming up. The end of the Light and Dark saga feels odd. Because, I mean, you go Destiny 1, 10 years, you started out with the Stranger, who we now actually put a name to, 7 years later. We've had Savathun, we've had Oryx, we've had quite a few things that have happened over the course of these 10 years. The Witnesses come into the, field of view a little bit later in the game as kind of the bigger threat in the pyramids. And if we go back to Season of the Worthy with the little pyramid ships going across the wall, and then some of the planets getting taken out, all of those things have been kind of leading here. And I guess we will see when it comes down to how it all lands. Yeah. But it also is one of those that it's weird because we, as hardcore players, know the story's not done. So when the final shape is done, we know the Witness will have some kind of finale, whatever that is, good, bad, or otherwise. And then we're gonna go, that's a really big screen. Hey, we're split. Hey, now I'm Travis, and you're two people over there, so we lost Travis for a second.
I need all the room.
Oh, yeah. I need to go to my own window, and we kick Travis out. So
get the Scion out. Yeah. It's Cabal time. Y'all with the Cabal in here.
Hey, there we go. It's back.
Oh,
Anyway,
the Thion's
sorry.
back there.
Sorry about that. They decided to do construction outside of my house.
Oh,
That's all the perfect times.
You good? You good?
But yeah, I mean, just if you think back on everything that's happened, we know there's going to be more afterwards. We know there's 3 episodes. You got the Vex, there's the Scorn one, and then the Hive one is probably typically the one I'm more excited about lore-wise and story-wise is always going to be Hive, just because the main thing that remains is Savathun and Xivu doing something. And you know that's when Eris typically comes back in. So that's what I'm excited for. But, I mean, that's a long ways away. We got, what is it, 16 or 18-week episodes that are going to take longer. How are the episodes are going to land? Are you guys excited about the episodes possibly holding more? Or are you worried about the way they're going to be delivered? Like the act, and it's just like, were you guys on your pre-thoughts on episodes? Because, I mean, Final Shape is nearly upon us, but that's what's going to tide us over as Destiny gamers.
Yeah, I mean, look, episodes are important, but again, everything is contingent on them nailing this story. So, as excited I am about the future of Destiny to continue, no doubt. But ultimately, look, there's so many threads left. C4 Wrath, there's so many things they could do. So I'm not worried about continuing it, but it just has to be fitting. It has to make sense. I want something to transition, in a cool, unique way that we didn't see before. Or I don't know if you guys were watching bite videos, potential other threats or other things that we haven't heard from like D1 that could come back, and we have to deal with. So I don't want to spoil too much, but if y'all interested in that, go watch bite. he cooking right now. He got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Bife, he's putting together a 9-hour everything up until Final Shape, story of Destiny that he's trying to get it to launch tomorrow morning. It's just sometime tomorrow is what he's going for. But I mean, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's 25 hours of server downtime. Starts on Monday. So June 3rd, 9 a.m. Pacific, and it goes for 25 hours. So get everything done over the weekend. Make sure everything's prepped and ready to go. You do get 100 vault space pages, but outside of that, turn in all your... I gotta go turn in so many engrams. Oh my god. I have so many engrams. I don't even know what I'll do with them all, but we'll see if I get to the... Mostly I just want to try and get a couple decent sets of armor for my hunter. Yeah. And if I'm done with that, I'm probably not going to go turn in every gunsmith engram or every vanguard. That's probably not going to happen. Mostly I'm just trying to see if I can get a decent set of hunter armor from the helm. But sorry, Travis, you had a thought. I just was gonna say 9 hours of Bife lore. You got something to watch over the weekend.
Yeah, you were asking about if I care about the episode model episodes. Yeah, I think their new system is probably going to be better. I prefer not weekly logons and being able to play chunks of like a game and then taking a break. As I've told you many, many times, I'm okay not playing Destiny. I'd prefer to not hate it. And logging in every week to get a morsel is not really worth it. Logging in every couple weeks to get a couple bites or maybe even a meal sounds a lot better to me. So I'm happy with that. It does seem like a stopgap until Destiny 3. They kind of almost accidentally leaked that themselves. Again, I kind of agree with Cog. I don't think the episodes matter. I think they matter as much as the Disney Plus Marvel shows matter, post Infinity War. Like they have to nail it, or else I don't think people are going to really care.
Exactly. Yep.
That's fair.
Well, here's a hypothetical. If they just whiffed it, if it was like as bad as Lightfall or
Final
worse,
Shape gets like a big
Final Shape,
like a 6 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Oh god.
4 out of 10. Let's say they got.
What'd you give Lightfall?
Like bad.
6?
I gave it a 5, and then I think a 6 when
because of the raid.
All the stuff was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they just completely whiffed it, would you keep playing Destiny, or would that be kind of it for you?
I mean, content creator wise, I'm in it probably, if nothing else, for each one of the drops to still do content and have something to cover. There are some people who are going to play Final Shape and drop either way, whether it's a 9 or a 5. And I think that's the thing, is they'll play the Final Shape. They see the Witness. Yeah, you get the episode when you buy Final Shape, so they're going to play the first one. My bigger question, I think, right now, even if the player base right now has been over 100,000 on Steam alone, which has been pretty good numbers, when you go to episode 2, the one that you actually have to voluntarily purchase, that is my big question. But it's like, I don't know if they'll fully whiff. I could see something like a 7.5, like 7.5. I don't think they could possibly do like a 5 on this one again.
I'm just saying hypothetical. If they did,
Oh,
you would still
hypothetical,
play.
man. That's trouble for Bungie, I would say, because Marathon is not out. I know it's still in the works. I know Sony bought them, but I mean, if Final Shape doesn't do great numbers, that is bad news, because if they can't maintain the player base and the microtransactions and the episode purchases and things that they're looking for, they're not going anywhere as a studio, but things would change. It would be interesting at that point.
And I was listening to what Aries said. Any word on that hustle? No, I listen. That is nice. There we go.
It. There you go.
There we go.
This is the
Love
Darth Vader truffle sauce, ghost pepper. It's pretty good.
I've had ghost pepper. It'll definitely light you up a bit.
Speaking of sauces, they exist here.
No way.
Yes.
Is it ketchup?
Went to a nice taco place.
I don't like ketchup.
Sauces exist in the Ebontis hole. Just want to let you know.
Wow. Okay. Don't believe it till you see it, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
hypothetically though,
yeah,
would you still play COG?
that's tough. If they bomb it, like
Yeah.
you
It was like a
Curse of
bomb.
Osiris
The finale.
I'll be taking serious hiatus. I ain't gonna lie, like that. You can't ooga booga this.
Enjoy the podcast while you got it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is my final.
Honestly,
as I retire into the sunset,
I'd be looking at it as a cost profit potential. Like, how much enjoyment am I getting out of it? How much money can I make continuing to play Destiny? And if it gets a 4 out of 10, I think that curve gets really hard.
ooh,
I probably wouldn't. I'll be honest. I'd probably be like, yeah, it was fun while it happened, while it lasted. But you know, we got an ending, even if it wasn't a good one.
yeah.
I probably would stop playing. But you know, occasionally I imagine they're gonna make me play this game, right? Because I'm like one of the only guys on the team who like knows about it. So it might just become an annual game for me, like not playing the seasons, but whenever they come out with like a big game or expansion, I
game,
log back
yeah.
on and see what's up. I would definitely stop doing shows about it, though. No offense to you guys, but like,
We
if
love
it's a
you.
4 out of 10,
I told
like,
you.
can
I
you
was like,
blame
yeah,
me?
enjoy your last word episodes now. The campfire may be short for this world.
He put the
Could
paperwork
you
in now.
blame me? Could you?
These are the resignation papers. We know what you're doing, Trav.
He's literally putting his pink slip across the desk right
Yeah,
now.
We get the message.
Would you even blame me if it was a 4 out of 10, though?
Of course.
You would blame me.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Of course I wouldn't.
Look, man, you gotta do what you
yeah,
gotta do. You gotta
I
find
think,
happiness
like-
in life somewhere.
Look, if it's like a 7 and people drop off, I'll be like, look, everybody's got to make their own life decisions. But I'd also be like, you know, maybe they were over Destiny. But if it got a 4 and my friends told me to quit it, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out. Good luck to you, buddy. Like, I would, you know what I mean? Like, I would just be like, dude, they led you on for 10 years and then just dropped it off like that, dude. It'd be brutal.
Oh, it'd be brutal. Because I think for me, Lightfall was that moment, that test moment, to see how committed I was. And my logic at the time was, you gotta see it through. 10 years, gotta see it through. So it's really to this moment, right? So if they do a 7, I'm still good. I'm like, oh, there was some still cool things for me. I get to continue the story. We get to see what's going on. If they nail it, of course, I'm gonna be popping bottles. But if they bomb it, that's disheartening. Like, that is like, you were doing this for what?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now on the opposite side, what if it was a 10? What do you think that would do for your relationship with Destiny and the community if it was a 10 out of 10?
Popping on. I'll be popping. I'll be a little arrogant.
Would you be
if it was a 10, Skill Up would do a very short video that said, screw all of you. Destiny is amazing.
Yes. And then I'm going to go to all the Destiny killer accounts, all the live services that we killed along the way. I'm going to go to the Division.
Walk by a graveyard slowly.
I'll put up Division posts and Anthem posts and all the ones that they said. I'm going to be messy. I don't let them. If they give me Witch Queen energy, oh, bro, I'm going to be unbearable. I'm going to be unbearable. You ain't going to like me on Twitter.
Well, if it was a 10, it would probably be better than Witch Queen, because I don't think Witch Queen was a 10. So if they hit 10 heights, I think it would be like, I don't know. I mean, Sony would be stoked. It would just be. I think it would usher in a second old golden age, really,
I think
for
the key
Bungie.
for the potential 9/10 is something so amazing with the raid. Like if we get something like a great campaign, right? Obviously, but if you get something where they take like Vow Disciple and they expand beyond, because they are playing with things like they don't want us to do the well, they want us to move around, they want us to use different things. So I'm very curious what this raid is going to do, and especially this is the witness, this is the big bad, right? So this is an interesting opportunity for them to try to do something special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if it was a 10, obviously fantastic, since I do tend to cover a lot of Destiny. It doesn't hurt to have a lot of people excited to jump in. I do still struggle to think that it could reach a 10.
Yeah, I'm in 9.
I was like, my guess for me,
let's set expectations.
I'm gonna guess I'm probably gonna be around an 8, and you're probably gonna be around a 7. That's just my hunch in my head. Just because I'm probably gonna give it a little more credit, or benefit of the doubt, and you're gonna be the honest critic who probably should. So that's my hunch of where it's gonna land. Better than Lightfall. I don't know if it can live up to Witch Queen, just because Witch Queen. Now the one thing, as Travis said, if there's like
I think it can live up to Witch Queen. I think Witch Queen is the I think that's the floor. That's as low as they really can go for me to be stoked about this, because they showed that they can do it given enough time, that they can tell a good story. And Witch Queen had a bunch of problems, right? It had like balance issues with everybody using Void, and they were still letting the Crucible playlist languish, and the Strike playlist was in trouble. Gambit lost maps that year. There were like all these problems with the game. And so I think if they can deliver at least at Witch Queen level, that's a huge win. If they can get above that, then I'm like in seventh heaven. I'm like so excited about that.
That's fair. And I think it kind of depends on if a lot of things come together. As you said, the surrounding, like if the campaign's cool, but then Prismatic starts to get to be fire. And then are you going to do your review before you get the Prismatic cloaks? Or do you have to wait on that to judge Prismatic as a subclass? How are you going to do that? Because it's kind of incomplete until you get them.
Let's see. That's the week after the
it's Tuesday raid, after. Right? Yeah.
So my review in progress is likely to be that day, and then I'll probably just write the review the week of. I mean, I know how the Prismatic exotic works.
Yeah, so, I guess that's fair.
You know what I mean? It's like just I doubt that I doubt that like the difference between an 8 and a 9 is going to be like how the exotic feels on the Prismatic. You know what I mean? Like if it's Prismatic is generally feeling pretty good, and then I see the build crafting potential of the exotic, I can take that into account. And if it's really close, if I'm like 8.9, this could be a 10, then I'll wait. But I really doubt it's going to be like that much of a nail biter.
Yeah, so I mean, 8 would be great to see, because you're a fair critic, and if it can reach an 8 for you, that means that it is a great expansion, and that is a lot. And I think is the Pathfinder going to be something worthwhile? Is Prismatic going to do something that gives you a little more variety? Are the new supers going to be cool? How does the new destination feel? Is it empty? Is it a cool place for activities? I think there's a lot of stuff that all the little surrounding stuff, like in my head, a lot of it focuses on the campaign. But as you said, like Witch Queen, it's like it was a great campaign, but the surrounding part of the game felt a bit lacking at that point. So I'm kind of curious how the rest of it feels.
It was weird seeing a fantastic campaign in the middle of this game that looked like it was decaying. You know what I mean? It was like, oh my God, this campaign is so amazing. And then you kind of look around and you're like, where was this team on all this other content that's in the game? You know, it's just like, what happened?
I remember that in your review. You went in on the ritual activities. Fair enough.
It's like, Ebontis with that glorious body of his, within that face that you're just like, what happened? What'd they do?
Don't do my boy like that.
Like, come on, man. It was a work of art. And then they just gave him that.
Don't do a boy like that. Oh, man.
Just kidding. Everybody knows Ebontis is a 10 out of 10. Perfect 10.
Oh.
He wouldn't. I mean, look, the only Cavs reviews speak for themselves.
That's fair.
That's
right.
Factual.
I have one review, but it does speak for itself.
Nice.
Anything else? Just time-wise, we do have to work on wrapping that up. What is just kind of your last little bit of anything else you want to say before we kind of get into wrapping this up? Cog first.
We are in the cusp, boy. We're close. We're close, man. You know, leaks aside, you know, the majority of the player base is gonna finally experience this. They've got like I feel like the energy is like a quiet confidence, in the sense that they've been very forthright with what they want to show. I feel the marketing has been fantastic as usual. But what's different this time is I feel that they generally overshow a lot of the like exotics and stuff in the marketing, stuff like that. And this they've kind of been reserved, and you let the content creators do the work for them in that sense. But I do like the fact that we have all this lead up towards the moment. I think that's cool. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, man. We're here.
Rev?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm scared. I'm excited to review it. And 10 years, man. This is the leap of faith I took 10 years ago. Like I fell, and I'm hoping there's water at the bottom of this giant fall that I've been falling down for 10 full years. And if it's a concrete slab, I'm going to be pretty disgruntled when I meet that concrete.
That's fair. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like how cushioned is our landing? How is the plane going to land? Are the wheels still attached? Are we skidding in? Did we catch on fire? Is it smooth? Are we sliding into the gate? Like, what is the landing going to be like? And I'm quite curious because there's a lot of weight on this. I don't know if it can live up to everything, but as you guys said, if it can do like Witch Queen, and then the rest of the game is still seeing more kind of improvement and stuff going on, if the episode kicks in pretty quick, it's gonna be good. But as you guys said, cautious, worry, optimism, a whole lot of maybe right now, a whole lot of I don't know, and I'm very curious to get my hands on it.
Last thing, for 10 years, I will give them this. They are pulling out all the nostalgic beats. Boy, they weapons, places, scenes, even the skyboxes or certain things. They are doing love letters for people who've been there from D1 to kind of say, okay, I remember this. I know where this, comes from, what these references are. So it's up to them. We got to see. But it's going to be fun next week to dive into it. Gremlin mode, campaign on Legendary. You already know. And just get to it, man. And then try out this new Prismatic, which seems pretty exciting. Our first build crafting, serious attempt, to kind of make.
And the new enemy race. I mean, that's what I'm most excited for.
Oh, new enemy race.
Yeah.
My only request from a narrative beat is obviously telling a story, but I want one little Sabathun.
Not gonna be here.
He said
no.
She's not gonna be here, man. This is not her time. No.
I need her to come through the back door.
No.
What'd you say?
I'm just saying no.
Say that one more time, Cog.
A little Sabathun, come through the back.
We're come through the back door.
Hey, watch your mouth.
What?
All right, guys. Episode number 298. As we wrap this thing up, it has been a great show. I know we were kind of all, I don't know if it's excited or not, but I feel like we are kind of on the edge of our seat. I'm ready for Tuesday to get here. I'm ready for servers to turn on. Be ready for the server queues. That's the servers to turn on again. That's fair. Yeah. Properly turn on this time when scheduled. And then there's also going to be a queue. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. And then, we'll be playing all week and go from there. So remember, 25 hours downtime the day before.
Yes.
Travis has hot sauce. So you can join the Burning Mouth party that I've been part of for a couple years now. And yeah, that's about all I got. I got to make sure Travis can get out of here on time. Do I run through Europa story to unlock Stasis? Do it.
Yeah, probably.
I just unlocked Strand on my Hunter this week. So yeah, I would recommend you do that as well.
What the F? Y'all are casuals.
Yes, I am. Exactly. I am full casual.
No doubt.
Nice.
Fake
gamer girl buys bathwater.
Oh yeah, if you preload, you can turn on the game and enjoy the title screen and the soundtrack. So that's what we'll be playing for a while. And that's it. So episode number 298. Thank you guys very much. And for this episode, the one before Final Shape, it has been the last word.